What up, nerds? And welcome back to Lily's Ranger Talk. I am Lily with Lily's Ranger World, and today we're doing a video that I wasn't expecting to do at all, let alone this soon. That is right, folks. We're going to be discussing Super Space Sheriff Gavan Infinity, the first season of Project R.E.D. I was not expecting us to... I'm not calling it a review because I did not take notes on this series. As I talked about on my Instagram, I wanted to just fully, enjoy this first year of Gavan or Project R.E.D. If I knew this was going to be less than 20, 50 episodes, I maybe would have taken some notes. But I am going to be heavily relying on the wiki for remembering stuff. So please keep that in mind. That's why I'm not calling it like a proper review. It's more of a discussion. But yeah, did not think this was only going to have, I think, 23 episodes? 23 or 24. Was not expecting that. It didn't feel like it was going to be a 23-24 episode season. Even, in my opinion, where I am right now with it, I think it needs a couple more episodes. Like, I'm not even saying it needs to be, like, a full year. But, like, I think, 10 more episodes would have been fine. I don't know. For that being said, I am excited for, what is it, Omega Horn or something like that? I can't remember the title, but it looks very, very cool, and I'm very invested in that. But yeah, I'm actually recording this 5 minutes before Big Brother's on, and also a couple days before the last episode airs in Japan. I'm probably going to be watching the episode probably this Sunday at the time of recording this, which is, what's today? I think today's the 16th of July. So I'm not going to be watching it until the 19th, probably, at the earliest. But I'm going to try and watch it as soon as I can because I want to get this discussion out relatively quickly. I don't know. I haven't even uploaded episode 22 yet. This will be episode 23, or it could be episode 22 if I decide to scrap episode 22, what I already recorded. But anyways, now I'm just rambling. So, the next time you see me, I will have watched the finale. But in the meantime, let's do a magical warp. Woo! Okay, y'all, it is now July 19th. I just finished watching the finale of Super Space Sheriff Gavan Infinity, and I have feelings. We're going to start there, and then we're going to read the summary of the series as a whole. Just, honestly, this is more for me than for you guys, but I do this for every, discussion. But anyways, I did really enjoy, the fight scenes, which honestly I can say about the whole series in general. But then, I kind of, at the end, I got the meme from Patchy the Pirate from SpongeBob, that's it. That's how we're ending this. Because, I don't know, it kind of ended with, with more questions than answers, that I feel like. Azathoth is still here, and I just realized that Azathoth is separate from Death Gavin, but that's just me probably not paying attention again. I didn't take notes this series because I want to fully, enjoy it and not just, deeply analyze it like I do with, Super Sentai. But anyways, yeah, I got more questions than answers, and I feel like I need more. Now, I think Gavin is coming back. The cast might be doing stuff in Omega Horn, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I know that was rumored, but I'm not sure if that's the case or not. We'll see. But with that being said, let's go back to the beginning, shall we? Okay, y'all, here is, I don't know if this is a brief synopsis, but it's a synopsis. But it's from ProjectRedFandom.com. Sorry for that pause. The universe is not just one. Within overlapping layers of the multiverse, there exists another Earth that looks exactly like Earth. In multi-Earth A0073, which has entered an era of cosmic coexistence, crimes involving the exploitation of energy-based life forms known as Emorgi are breaking out one after another. Reggie Doki is an investigator for the Galactic Federal Police, is Gavan Infinity, the only person in the universe permitted to claim the title of Space Sheriff Gavan. However, he is stationed in the Backwater Archives Department. His true objective is to investigate Emorgi crimes across dimensions. Chasing these interdimension threats, Reggie leaves through space-time, encountering the Gavins of various dimensions and joining forces to bring justice to the multiverse. And that's pretty much it. Now, I'm going to do my best not to compare this to Super Sentai, because I know this is not Sentai. If it was Sentai, this would be Sentai. But it's not Sentai, it's Project R.E.D. And, but when I first saw, you know, the stuff, I was imagining, okay, and granted, I didn't know the plot before this. Like, this was when I was looking at the cast, like, all the way back in, I don't know, whenever it was announced, January, maybe, early February, I can't remember, but I was under the impression that this was going to be three Gavins working together, and then maybe a fourth or a fifth coming later, kind of like Super Sentai. What was I saying earlier? Like, literally 30 seconds ago about not comparing it to Sentai? But it's something, like, I was noticing, I was thinking about, because I know Kamen Rider, that's usually, like, one person, and I was imagining, well, what's going to replace Super Sentai? Something that maybe is like Sentai, but it's not Sentai, like, it's metal suits instead of, the traditional spandex. Yeah, I was wrong. We mainly follow Reggie, and I hope I'm saying that right. I think it's Reggie. Um, and he does work with other Gavins, but they don't all work as a team, except for one episode. Like, not even in the finale. And it was, like, right before the finale. Like, it was 2 episodes before the finale. And that's kind of what I was missing. Like, the teamwork aspect. Not that there wasn't teamwork there. He would work with, at most one other Gavin. But, and it was mainly Setsuna, Kiki, and what's the ninja's name? Kanine, I think? Let me look that up. Kunine. And we did get a couple other ones too. We got the Railway Sheriff, and then Amigo, Gavan Amigo, which was that the aunt? No, Mikuro was the aunt. Excuse me. That's the aunt. That one was my favorite because that one was cool. It was cool to think of, like, oh, in this layer, an ant was, the Gavin, and that's cool. It made me think of Beetleborgs. And the coolest thing is, like, with that, like, he didn't turn into human. He just was a Gavin as an ant. I'm great about that, right? I'm 99% sure. I should have probably taken notes this season, and honestly, if I knew this was going to be 23 episodes, I probably would have. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was just an ant when he was Gavin, which is cool. Like, he didn't turn into a human. I know with the Railway Gavin, that guy, Cringer, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, Cringer. He was like a little, he kind of looked like an Emorgear, and he might have been no, I don't think he was an Emorgear, but he didn't have, like, arms and legs, is what I'm trying to say. But when he, henshin, he kinda did, or Jokaku, or Electroplate was the translation. Um, and that was cool, too. I don't remember Gavan Amigo. And again, like, that's probably because, when did he appear? Okay, it was because he was pretty early on. but like I did not remember him as much. But like but yeah, I remember the ant though, and he was early on too. But that was because he was a freaking ant, and that was really cool. But yeah, again, they worked with Gavin's, but I was expecting more like. I know what I said about not comparing it to Super Sentai, but I was expecting more, like a team of three or a team of four. But it looks like Omega Horn's also going to be like that, where it's not necessarily a team. Again, I could be wrong. I actually I don't know much about Omega Horn. Um, like the full name of it, for example. I don't know that. Um, but on the subject of that, I appreciate that we're keeping the handoffs. Kind of. Where at the end of the last episode, we did like a sort of transition from Gavin to the next season. I do appreciate that we kept that because was was it needed? No, but I like the Super Sentai handoffs a lot. I watch them every now and again, and that was something I was gonna miss about Super Sentai. But yeah, that was something I appreciated. Other episodes, again, a lot of the episodes that stood out to me were near the end because those were the ones I was remembering. But I love episodes with Kiki and Koto in it. And now that I'm thinking about Kiki and Koto, there's a character who I loved, and I can't remember like his actual name, but he was a thief. And he was like, I think he described himself as a phantom thief, if I'm not mistaken. And we kind of left his story there. Like, I don't think he got a conclusive ending. Because I truly think that the writers wrote the show thinking, maybe not thinking that they had more time, but like they have more time. Like they're writing like, oh, we have 50 episodes, so we can flesh that stuff out. But they didn't, and stuff kind of didn't get resolved. And maybe the Phantom Thief was not supposed to be resolved, but I like that character a lot, and I would have loved to see more of him and more of his story. Maybe he becomes a Gavin. I think this show had a lot of potential, and I think it had a lot of potential with maybe having more episodes, going to more multiverses. Um, I saw someone talking about this in a video, where there was so much potential to explore that and explore the Emo Gears and explore Emo Gears. Emo Gears is. I think I combined Gavin and Zenkaiger / Stone Brothers. I don't know. Emorgy. Emorgy? I'm doing great. But I think there was so much there where we could have explored like multiverses maybe with multiple Gavins, or even multiverses where there's no Gavin at all. And I think we could have done so much with that. Maybe introduce more villains, because I was thinking about this when I was watching the finale. Yes, Def Gavin is probably the main villain / Azasoft. Azasoft? We're doing great, people. But I do think there really wasn't like a main villain. I really liked. Ooh, this is called Lily's hypocrite moment. So I really like how the monsters were all the same. Why is it a hypocrite moment? What's my number one complaint about Kia Major? That it's just the heads, uh, and the bodies are the same. That's my number one complaint about Kia Major, and here I am, talking about liking that the monster designs, like the monsters of the week, are all the same. But here's the thing about that. There's a difference. I don't think they explained why it was like that in Kia Major. It might have just been a budget issue. And then with Super Space Sheriff Gavan Infinity, it kind of makes sense because of the emoji. I'm just gonna call it MRG, but I'm probably gonna go back and forth. Um, should we talk about characters? Let's talk about characters. Okay, so characters that I really liked. I did really like Reggie. I thought he was a really good protagonist. I liked his arc with the investigator, who I think was the first Gavin, if I'm not mistaken. And then when he took his place, there was a lot of complex emotions there, and I really liked him as a character, and I thought he was cool. Setsuna was kind of like, he wasn't unforgettable, but he wasn't like the most. He didn't stood out to me, but that didn't mean I didn't like him. I really did like him. I liked his, again, I liked his backstory. I wish we got a little bit more from him though. Especially again, I really think this comes down to they did need a little more episodes to flesh out everyone a little more, because I feel like he got the least like fleshed out, if that makes sense. Because if I'm being honest, I didn't expect like the other Gavins, other than like maybe, and when I say other Gavins, I mean the non-main Gavins, to come back. So I was expecting, we get more time with these characters. And not that we didn't get anything. I know we got an episode with a backstory with a girl who looks just like the commander. And who's the commander's name? I don't know. It's not Carol. Is it Rui? Yes, it's Rui. I'm looking at the wiki now. I never know these names. And I liked her as a character too. I loved when she's just would pounce or would down like soda, like um, kind of, kind of like a tomboy. I don't know. I don't know if that's even the right word for it. But anyways, I liked. I really liked. I liked him as a character. I just think we need more from him. Um, and then there's Kiki. I think Kiki is my favorite Gavin. I really liked her, and I really liked Koto. And they did both get a lot of like development. I feel like they could, especially when Koto became luminous, and then she thought she was gonna lose her memory of Kiki, but it was the other way around. That was only for one episode, which I mean I get it. Again, it would have been cool to see multiple episodes, but I mean they were working with what they had, and they didn't really have a lot of time. But I loved her positive energy. I think she kind of foils. She definitely foils Setsuna, but she even kind of foils Reggie in a way, because he has like he's very complex. I feel, where Kiki's just, and not that she doesn't have her like negative moments. She does, but you know she has like she's mainly just a ball of sunshine. And it's definitely. I was looking at like a Pride post, and it had like, you know, stuff from, Metal Heroes and Super Sentai, and then they put Gavin Luvinous on there, and I'm like, that totally makes sense. I can totally see Koto and Kiki being a couple. In fact, I think in one of the episodes, they referred to Kiki to or Koto as her girlfriend. Now, granted, that's probably like girlfriend, like hey girlfriend, like girlfriends as in like best friends, which they definitely are. We're not denying that they're best friends, but there could be something more. That's just the lesbian in me going, yeah. Um, but yeah, Kunine I also liked, but I don't. Again, didn't really. Kind of similar to Setsuna, we didn't really get that much from him. I mean, we did and we didn't. In fact, I didn't even realize he was going to be like a part of the main cast until they added him into like the. It's not. I'm not opening, ending song. I say opening because like it technically is an opening, like because it does like the cast stuff. Like I didn't really realize he was a part of the main cast until I noticed like, oh, he's in the ending now, but he never joined in on the dance. So like not even as an obnoxious bubble like in Sekito. case with Boominger, which at least I appreciate that they didn't do that, because that drove me bonkers during Boominger. But yeah, no, I liked him. And he was a ninja and stuff, and I liked his suit. His suit was cool. It was a little different from the other Gavins. But, I don't know, I guess I just wanted more out of each character. Like, even with Kiki, we could have gotten a little more. And it's because, we mainly just followed Reggie, so we didn't see, like, any episode arcs. Now, as for the non-Gavin characters, the allied characters, I have to talk about my favorite character in the show, which is Aggie. Aggie? Aggie? I think it's pronounced Aggie. It probably is. The only AI that I like, I don't know, I really like how she looks. I love the pink in her hair. I think there's also, like, white in her hair. I love the streaks in her hair. I usually have pink hair or colored hair. So I just loved that about her design. I loved her catchphrase was, like, crazy, which that was fun. Um, and also her little just like how you made me, Colonel, which I just learned that's how you pronounce it, because I'm not the brightest tool in the shed. Brightest tool in the shed. That's not a phrase. That being said, I like Dasuki. I usually refer to him as Colonel, because I like his connection to Reggie, and my favorite moment was when he was able to dimension hop. He got so excited, and he goes to Reggie and he's like, now I can finally, like, help you out in missions. And then Reggie gets so excited, and, like, they're just geeking out, and it's so cute. But yeah, I like him as a character too. And then there's Patron and Wanibuchi. I want to say they're like community characters, but they're not. They kind of start off as bullies, but also they're not. I don't know. But it's very. Those are like the characters that stood out to me. And obviously, I already talked about Koto. I love Koto. Another one of my favorite side characters. But I think that's everything. I like the villains too, like the villains we got. And like the cult. I just didn't pick up on that because I'm not. Again, I should have taken notes, but I didn't because I didn't want to like fully analyze this show. I just wanted to enjoy it. But here we are. Let's talk about mech fights for like a second. I didn't really care for them. Uh, because I forgot like 99% of them. The fights I remember because the fights are cool, but I just never remember like the mech fights. Um, but yeah, is there anything else I want to say? Um, I think I've said everything I've wanted to say. I overall did enjoy this series. I wish it was longer. Um, but for what it was, I say it was a pretty strong start to Project R.E.D. I definitely think I'm going to enjoy Omega Horn more just based on what I've seen. I think it gives Monster Hunters vibes, and I love Monster Hunters. I played Monster Hunter. What's the one that's on the Switch? Rise, I think. A little bit in December, and I got hooked on that game. It's really addicting. So I think I'm gonna enjoy that, like Monster Hunters aspect. Um, what else? And for what it's worth, I hope we get to see these characters again. I don't know if there'll be a Gozuger or Gavan Infinity crossover. I don't know if those actors are contracted to do one more versus movie. I still need to watch Boom Boomger versus Gozuger. I'm scared to because the last couple of versus movies have not been so great for me. Not great experiences. But anyways, that's getting off topic. I do hope we see the cast again, whether that's in a versus movie like this or a versus movie with Omega Horn or whenever we get to see them. I hope we get to see them. And if you're curious, because if you're longtime viewers of this channel or a longtime viewer of my Instagram, you're probably wondering, and I'm wondering this too, Lily, is this going to be in contention for the Lily Awards? If there wasn't going to be a season 2 of Project R.E.D, I was going to say no, or it kept going on, because I'm not going to put this with Super Sentai. I find it unfair. Uh, but depending on how far we get in Omega Horn by the time we're in December, I'd say, yeah, it'll probably be in the Lily Awards in a new category like Best Project R.E.D Leader, or that's the thing. I don't know how I'm gonna do that because, like, maybe or I don't want to say Best Gavin, but like Best Project R.E.D Hero, maybe, and we put all of them in there. I don't know. We'll figure that out in December when I get there. I'm more concerned about the Super Sentai categories of the Lily Awards than I am, Project R.E.D. But anyways, that was just me going on. I have stuff to watch, and that's gonna be not just Omega Horn, but finishing up Abba Ranger and continuing on with Mega Ranger. I'm struggling with Abba Ranger because I can't watch episode 24 on the website that I'm using to watch Sentai, and I'm trying to find it literally anywhere else, and I can't. So that's fun. But that being said, I'm getting off topic, so I should head off. If you want more of this chaos, follow me on Instagram at Lilies_Ranger World. We have a lot of fun over there. And with that being said, I will see you guys later. See ya.